In the last episode, I'm rolling out of California towards Reno to get a tire when my cable breaks. And then I repair the cable again and get back on the road. And I started rolling towards the city of Reno, out of California. And when I got to Reno, I realized how awesome this town was. It's a whole lot greener than I remember. Usually when I'm rolling through Nevada, I roll through at night and I'm just trying to blaze through and get out of the heat and what I've always considered to be just a disgusting desert. And this time I slowed down long enough to get a better idea of what's going on this side of Nevada. And I hung out with my buddy Dave and Shannon that I met in Hawaii, and that's Dave riding up the volcano back when we were in Hawaii. And it was really cool to hang out with Dave and Shannon again. And this is some footage from Dave riding the first time he's ridden a bike off-road, not to mention his big Tenere that he only dumped, I don't know, three times, but he really impressed me with how quickly he caught on. But Dave's a good rider, just learning to ride off-road is tough. Downtown Reno, just got me a new tire put on in record time. Cycle Gear let me down for the first time in quite a while. Anytime I'm traveling, I always count on Cycle Gear, but Cycle Gear in Reno just really dropped the ball. They had half a rack of tires, nothing to fit my bike, not even a street tire to fit my bike. So yeah, they let me down, and the guys at Street Rider of Reno, I don't know if you can see the sign back there, they're just back here in the corner. They have got, he said, the largest selection. I don't doubt it. The largest selection of tires in Reno. Probably 5 times as many tires as Cycle Gear had. No, they got 5 times as many inside the shop, not counting the ones back here. So maybe 10 times. I don't know. It's a lot of tires, and he had probably four, probably more than that would fit my needs, not just my bike, but fit my needs. And I'm rocking the new, what the heck did he sell me here? Continental TKC 70s. Yeah, this is a new tire to me. I know the TKC 80 is a little bit more aggressive, but yeah, just gonna pack up my tools, head to the library, get some work done. Pretty excited about this trip. And of course, when in Rome, you have to eat like the Romans. And since I was on a budget, I had to do some of my favorite fast food. I don't eat a lot of hamburgers, especially not a lot of fast food. But see if you can guess who this guy is. They're all over the West, but there's very few of them back East. And when I'm out West, usually I try to find at least 2 or 3 of these guys to grab me one of the best hamburgers I've ever eaten, and the most consistent and the most pleasant people to serve you. So guess below what they are. So Dave and Shannon decided that they were going to take me around Lake Tahoe. Since I'd never been, embarrassingly, I didn't really know how awesome it was. But to get out of Reno, the fastest route's just to take the interstate. But just kind of impressive. This is one of the coolest interstate rides up through this canyon, and you can see mine shafts and old mining ruins all the way up through this valley. And we're rolling out of Reno and back into California, and it was a pretty impressive ride on an interstate. I'm not a big interstate fan, but if you got to get somewhere fast, it usually, yeah, it's the fastest route. And as you can see, we're rolling back into California because there's an agricultural checkpoint. They got guns and all that stuff and shoot you if you're going to bring a tomato from Nevada in there. So, but yeah, once we got through the gate, we quickly rolled on down the interstate right into a traffic jam. Imagine that. Back in California in a traffic jam. That's pretty weird. But as soon as we got off the interstate, we started heading to this very cool little old mining town to grab some fantastic breakfast, and before we headed to Lake Tahoe. It's a really cool start of the day, though. A nice blazing fast run up the interstate to breakfast in the small, cute little mining town. And of course, things really cooled off once we got to the lake, and I was impressed at the scale of this thing. I was expecting a pretty big lake, but I wasn't expecting something that looked like an ocean. This is almost comparable to the Great Lakes that I'd been around earlier on my trip. It's very impressive just to kind of see the scale of this lake and how beautiful it is. Just the water is just crystal clear, beautiful, like the Pacific Ocean surrounding the Hawaiian Islands. Just really, it's shocking to see the colors and to think that this is just a lake off of a mountain lake in California. And the further we rode around the lake, the more it took my breath away. It started to remind me of quite a few of the national parks I've been to. And of course, this parking lot reminded me, especially with all the people that were there. But still, this was a really great stop. Got off to take a few pictures at the lake. The water is crazy. Looks like the islands.
Ma'am, can I get you to take a picture of all three of us?
Not really sure how I got out in front, but this section wasn't very critical, and I guess Dave was going to just let me lead the way for a little bit, and it was really nice. Yeah, it just seemed like nice cool weather with the cool lake water around it. I really want to come back out here, and I would suggest that you make your way out here too if you get anywhere close to Tahoe. I wish I could have seen a lot more of the state. California has been very elusive for me in times past. The last time I came through California, everything was covered in snow, so couldn't get out to Yosemite and couldn't go over several of the passes that I wanted to go over. And this time it was so freaking hot, so from one extreme to the other, hot and smoky to the point where I didn't really want to be in California. Yeah, just it's quite disappointing. Not been able to go and do and see the things that I wanted to do, but man, this was a great day. Even though it was kind of hot, it was just a very pleasant ride, and I got to spend the day with a couple of my buddies and riding in a beautiful landscape. And this road is quite shocking in that it's a ridge on top of a lake, and then it starts doing switchbacks. It just very impressive riding. I'm surprised there weren't a great more motorcycles out here. There was a lot of cars, there was a lot of traffic, but I would think that this is just we circled the lake that day, and I'm just amazed that there weren't half the vehicles on the road weren't motorcycles. But just because this is just such a scenic paradise and so fun to ride out here. Well, once again, Dave was foolish enough to let me out front, and I was foolish enough, not knowing where we were going, to get out front and completely miss our turn. We didn't really discuss it, so I guess it's probably both our faults. But yeah, I was just having a good time running down the road around the lake, and then we started going down the hill, and apparently there was a turn that we were supposed to take, but I just kept blazing on.
I'll follow you this time. I had my fun.
Go back up Spooner Lake.
Spooner Lake.
Is the turnoff we need. It's at the top. It's not.
Oh, that's the one like halfway down the hill.
Not even halfway. It was right at the top.
Okay. Well, yeah, I'll just catch you guys at that exit. All right.
I do have the tendency to blaze ahead when the curves get really fun. And this road doesn't really look like it here. I think this is probably why I slowed down and answered my phone. And it was Dave saying, hey, I think you took the wrong turn. But yeah, I do tend to get a little bit carried away when the road gets curvy and kind of leave other people behind. But I hope Dave and Shannon weren't too upset with me taking or missing the turn and kind of blazing away and having fun. But yeah, I had my fun already, and we just decided to roll down to the bottom of the hill and turn around, because the other way is this way. If we went back to Reno this way, this would have been a very long day, probably not anywhere near as scenic. But yeah, we just got down to the bottom of the hill and turned around, and it's pretty amazing. Doesn't look like the traffic is going fast, but that truck in front of me is probably doing 80 plus. And I think all the traffic around here was doing that speed. But yeah, there was a couple of troopers on the sides of the road here trying to keep traffic slowed down, but I don't think it really did that much. And looking for a place to hook a Yui and go back up the hill. And of course, I could blaze up even faster going up the hill. So this was a fun day. But after we got back, Dave had to work the weekend coming up, and we had talked about going to Virginia City. But since he had to work the weekend and I was kind of getting antsy to get back on the road, I just took off on the weekend while Dave was working and rolled up to Virginia City on this awesome road that takes you over the mountain. And this road is known as the Geiger Grade, or Geiger Grade. I've heard several people talk about this road, and this road in itself is worth the trip to Virginia City. Virginia City is pretty cool on its own, but it's kind of a touristy town. Nice to ride through, nice to see the sights, but going up and down this road and riding quite a few of the roads on the other side, totally worth it. Very fast sweepers, and there was not a lot of traffic going up over the mountain and into town, but it was a Sunday. Now coming back the other way, the traffic situation had changed, but this was just a real thrill to ride this road with almost nobody on it. And like I said earlier, this is Virginia City. It's a bit of a touristy town, but it's old. It's still got a lot of the charm, and just it's kind of covered up with people. The other thing I don't really like, kind of like a little small Disney World. But yeah, I didn't even go into any of the bars or the pubs just because I just wanted to keep moving. But I did end up stopping at this old schoolhouse to do what I normally do. You know me.
So I'm out here in Virginia City, Nevada, still looking for that smoking hot European moto, babe. Itchy crotch. I mean, itchy boots.
I pedaled around Virginia City and did a few of the roads around there, and they have some nice tight roads around town. But I turned around and went back down the hill, and like I said, if it wasn't for the traffic, this would be awesome. Stopped in because I was thirsty and dehydrated, and I was kind of needed a bite to eat. Could not find a place to sit down except for these little gaming tables, and I found one, or maybe I should say it found me. Kind of creepy, but really funny too if you sit here and watch him. So stay tuned and join me next time as I roll out of Reno and out of Nevada on the loneliest road.